The giant alien ships appeared in Earth's sky on a Tuesday morning. They came without warning. 7 massive vessels, each one bigger than the largest human aircraft carrier, positioned themselves over major cities around the world. One hovered above Seoul, Korea. Captain Tae-ho Kim was eating breakfast when the emergency alert sounded on his phone. As the head of the Korean Space Initiative's First Contact Division, he had trained for this day for years. But training was different from reality. "This is not a drill," said the message from his commander. "Report to headquarters immediately." Tae-ho grabbed his jacket and ran out the door. The streets were already filled with people looking up at the sky. The alien ship blocked out the sun, casting a shadow over the city. It was shaped like a smooth oval with no visible windows or doors. The surface shifted colors like oil on water. At headquarters, chaos reigned. Screens showed similar ships over New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, New Delhi, and Cairo. "Captain Kim, thank goodness you're here," said Science Officer Ju-Won Park. His usually neat appearance was disheveled, his tie crooked. "The aliens are broadcasting a message on all frequencies. It started 3 minutes ago." Tae-ho looked at the main screen. Strange symbols flashed across it, changing rapidly. "Have we decoded it?" he asked. "Working on it," Ju-Won replied. "Our computers are processing the language now. It seems to contain mathematical elements we recognize." Security Chief Sun-Mi Lee entered the room, her face grim. "The President has called an emergency meeting. Captain Kim, you're needed there now." 2 hours later, Tae-ho sat in the presidential bunker deep beneath Seoul. Leaders from around the world joined by video conference. Their faces showed the same mix of fear and determination. "The aliens call themselves the Celestial Federation," announced the UN Secretary General. "Their computers have analyzed our internet and media broadcasts. They now speak all Earth languages. They want to meet with Earth representatives immediately." "What do they want?" asked Korea's president. "They claim their intentions are peaceful," the Secretary General said. "But they insist on dictating terms." Tae-ho listened as world leaders debated what to do. Some wanted to show military strength. Others suggested immediate surrender. In the end, they decided to send a diplomatic team to meet the aliens. As Korea's expert in xenobiology and linguistics, Tae-ho would join the Earth delegation. The meeting place was neutral ground, a field outside Seoul. Tae-ho stood with delegates from 20 other nations as a small craft descended from the mothership. Its surface rippled like liquid metal as a door melted open. 3 aliens emerged. They walked on 2 legs like humans but were much taller, nearly 3 meters in height. Their bodies were covered in what looked like natural armor plates, shimmering blue-green in the sunlight. They had 4 arms each, ending in hands with 6 fingers. Their faces had 2 large eyes, no visible nose, and a small mouth. The lead alien stepped forward. His armor was decorated with symbols that probably indicated rank. "I am Ambassador Cragg of the Celestial Federation," he announced in perfect Korean. His voice had a metallic quality, as if coming through a speaker. "I represent 217 spacefaring species united in peaceful exploration." Tae-ho noticed the ambassador's tone wasn't friendly. It sounded like someone talking to a child or a pet. The human delegation introduced themselves. When it was Tae-ho's turn, he bowed respectfully. "Captain Tae-ho Kim, Korean Space Initiative. Welcome to Earth." Ambassador Cragg barely acknowledged him before turning to address the entire group. "Your world has been under observation for some time," he said. "We have determined that your species has potential, but remains underdeveloped. The Celestial Federation offers protection and guidance to emerging intelligent life." The American delegate stepped forward. "With all due respect, Ambassador, we don't need protection. Earth can manage its own affairs." Cragg made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your species is physically weak, your technology is primitive. Even now your militaries prepare futile attacks against our vessels." The delegates exchanged nervous glances. It was true. Several nations had nuclear missiles aimed at the alien ships just in case. "We mean no disrespect," Tae-ho said carefully. "But humans value their independence. We would prefer to join your Federation as equals, not as protected subjects. Crag's large eyes blinked slowly. Equality must be earned, Captain Kim. Your species is not ready. One of the other aliens stepped forward, smaller than Crag with lighter-colored armor. Ambassador, perhaps we should conduct the detailed scans before making final determinations. Crag seemed annoyed but nodded. Dr. Zella suggests we learn more about your biology before finalizing our arrangement. We will conduct detailed scanning of volunteer subjects. What kind of scanning? Asked Taeho. Non-invasive, Dr. Zella replied. Her voice was softer than Crag's. We will examine your physical capabilities, neurological functions, and genetic potential. It will cause no harm. The delegates conferred briefly before agreeing. Taeho and 5 others volunteered for the scans. The scanning room inside the alien craft was unlike anything Taeho had ever seen. The walls seemed alive, pulsing with light and color. There were no visible instruments. The technology was beyond human understanding. Please stand still, Dr. Zella instructed. The scan will take approximately 20 of your minutes. Taeho felt a warm sensation wash over him as light danced across his body. He could sense something gentle probing his mind, but it didn't hurt. Dr. Zella watched readings that appeared in the air before her. At first, her expression remained professional. Then something changed. She leaned closer to the floating symbols, her eyes widening. Impossible, she whispered. She called over another alien scientist. They spoke quickly in their own language, pointing at the readings. When the scan finished, Taeho felt slightly dizzy but otherwise fine. Is everything okay? He asked. Dr. Zella looked at him differently now, with what seemed like respect or perhaps concern. Captain Kim, your neural patterns are unexpected, she said. I would like to conduct additional tests with your permission. Before Taeho could answer, an alarm sounded. Ambassador Krag entered the room, followed by his security team. The Yao. Scanning is complete, he announced. Return to your leaders. We will contact you tomorrow with our decision regarding Earth status. Taeho noticed Dr. Zella trying to speak with Krag, but the ambassador ignored her. Back at headquarters, Ju-won was waiting anxiously. What happened? What are they like? Taeho described the meeting and the scans. They think we're weak, primitive. They want to make Earth a protectorate. That's insulting, Sunmi said, joining them. We may not have starships, but humanity has its strengths. Something strange happened during the scans, Taeho added. The alien doctor seemed surprised by the results. She wanted to do more tests, but Ambassador Krag stopped her. Ju-won looked thoughtful. Maybe they found something they didn't expect. Whatever it is, we'll find out tomorrow, Taeho said. For now, we need to prepare for all possibilities. That night, Taeho couldn't sleep. He stood at his apartment window looking up at the alien ship still hovering over Seoul. Its surface rippled with colors in the night sky. His phone rang. It was an unknown number. Captain Kim, said a familiar voice. It was Dr. Zella. I cannot speak long. Ambassador Krag does not know I am contacting you. What's wrong? Taeho asked. The scan results, they are remarkable. Your species appears physically weak compared to others in the Federation, but your neural complexity exceeds anything in our records. And there is something else, something we cannot quantify with our science. What do you mean? Your capacity for endurance, for continuing despite pain or difficulty, it is beyond logical explanation. By all biological standards, humans should surrender when faced with overwhelming odds. Yet your history shows the opposite. We call it determination, Taeho said, or sometimes stubbornness. Whatever you call it, Ambassador Krag sees it as a threat. He fears what humanity might become. Be careful tomorrow, Captain. Not everyone in the Federation shares his views, but he has influence. The call ended abruptly. Taeho stared at his phone, then back up at the alien ship. For the first time since the ships appeared, he felt hope. Maybe humans weren't as weak as the aliens thought. Maybe being human was special in ways they were only beginning to understand. Tomorrow would bring answers, and perhaps a new beginning for humanity among the stars. Dr. Ji-Yoon Choi had been working late in her neuroscience lab when the alien ships arrived. For the past 3 days, she had barely left her office at Seoul National University. The government had asked her to review all available data on the alien visitors. As Korea's top brain researcher, Ji-Yoon understood the human mind better than almost anyone on Earth. But alien minds? That was new territory. Her phone rang. It was Captain Tae-ho Kim from the Korean Space Initiative. "Dr. Choi, we need you at headquarters right away," Tae-ho said, his voice urgent. "The aliens have specifically requested to meet you." Ji-Eun's heart raced. "Me? Why?" "I'm not entirely sure," Tae-ho admitted, "but it has something to do with the brain scans they performed yesterday. A transport is already on its way to pick you up." 30 minutes later, Ji-Eun sat beside Tae-ho in a conference room at KSI headquarters. The room was filled with government officials, military officers, and scientists from various fields. "The aliens contacted us 1 hour ago," explained Tae-ho. "Ambassador Krag and Dr. Zella will be arriving shortly. They specifically asked for Dr. Choi to be present." "Did they say why?" Ji-Eun asked, nervously adjusting her glasses. "No. But after the scans yesterday, something changed. Dr. Zella seemed very interested in our neural patterns." Before they could discuss further, the doors opened. Ambassador Krag entered, followed by Dr. Zella and 2 other aliens carrying equipment. The room fell silent. Krag's large eyes surveyed the humans with what seemed like mild disgust. "Dr. Ji-Yoon Choi," he said, "you are this region's expert on human brain function, correct?" Ji-Yoon stood, trying to appear confident despite her racing heart. "Yes, I specialize in human neuroscience." Dr. Zella stepped forward. Unlike Krag, her manner was respectful. "Dr. Choi, we wish to share our findings with you and seek your insight. Our scans have revealed something unexpected about human biology." The aliens set up a device in the center of the room. It projected a 3-dimensional image in the air, a glowing blue human brain rotating slowly. "This is Captain Kim's neural structure," Dr. Zella explained. She pressed a button and another brain appeared beside it, glowing green. "And this is the brain of a Voltar, Ambassador Krag's species." The differences were obvious even to non-scientists. The human brain had far more connections, more complexity. "We have scanned over 50 species in the Celestial Federation," Dr. Zella continued. "None show the neural density of humans. Your synaptic connections exceed anything in our database." Ji-Eun moved closer to the hologram, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. "Our brains are highly adaptable. They form new connections throughout our lives as we learn and experience new things." "Precisely," said Dr. Zella. "But there is more." She pressed another button. Now the holograms showed full body scans. "Your species appears physically weak. Your muscles are not particularly strong. Your bones break easily. You have no natural armor or weapons. Yet," she highlighted areas in the human body that glowed red. "Your pain tolerance exceeds logical limits. Your endurance capabilities defy biological understanding. Even your smallest children can survive conditions that would kill adult members of other species." Ambassador Krag made a sound of irritation. "What Dr. Zella is failing to explain clearly is that your species presents a classification problem. Physically, you rank among the weakest intelligent species we have encountered. But in neural complexity and certain intangible qualities, you rank among the highest." Yoon looked at Tae-ho, who seemed as surprised as she was. "We would like to conduct more detailed studies," Dr. Zella said. "With your cooperation, of course," Ambassador Krag cut in. "The Federation Council is reconsidering Earth's status. Some members believe humans should be granted more autonomy than initially proposed." His tone made it clear he disagreed with this idea. Over the next week, Ji-Eun worked closely with Dr. Zella and her team. They set up a joint research lab at Seoul National University, where human and alien scientists studied each other. Ji-Eun was amazed by alien technology that could map every neural pathway in the brain within seconds. Dr. Zella was equally amazed. By human medical techniques that seemed primitive but sometimes achieved results her advanced technology couldn't. Your doctors sometimes succeed through intuition where our computers fail, Dr. Zella observed. It is humbling. One afternoon, as they worked together, Ji-un asked the question that had been bothering her. Dr. Zella, why does Ambassador Cragg seem to dislike humans so much? The alien scientist was quiet for a moment. The Voltar were once a threatened species. Before they developed their technology, they survived through physical strength and natural armor. Cragg believes in the superiority of physical power. The idea that a physically weak species could have other forms of strength troubles him. And what do you believe? Ji-un asked. I believe the universe favors diversity, Zella replied. Different paths to survival create stronger communities. The Federation needs species like yours, ones that think differently, that find solutions, where others see only problems. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent message. All personnel were being called to headquarters. Something big was happening. The command center was in a state of controlled chaos when Ji-un arrived with Dr. Zella. Screens showed alien ships in motion around the world. Tae-ho approached them quickly. The Federation Council has made their decision. Earth will not be a protectorate as originally planned. Instead, we're being offered associate membership, a probationary status with more independence. That is unexpected, said Dr. Zella. The Council rarely changes its initial assessment so quickly. What changed their minds? Ji-un asked. Security Chief Sunmi, who had been listening nearby, joined the conversation. Apparently, some Council members were impressed by the neural scan data. They believe humans have unique potential. And some are frightened by that same potential, added Dr. Zella quietly. Ambassador Cragg entered the room, his posture rigid with what might have been anger. The Council's decision is final, he announced to the gathered humans and aliens. Earth will be granted associate status, with the possibility of full membership in 20 of your years, if certain conditions are met. What conditions? Asked Tae-ho. Knowledge exchange, cultural integration, and Cragg seemed reluctant to continue. Military cooperation. This last condition surprised everyone. Why would the Federation want our military help? Sunmi asked bluntly. You've made it clear you consider our weapons primitive. Cragg's large eyes narrowed. The Federation faces threats you cannot imagine. Recent events suggest that human adaptability might be useful in certain situations. After Cragg left, Dr. Zella pulled Ji-un, Tae-ho, and Sunmi aside. There is something you should know, she said, lowering her voice. The Federation recently lost contact with 3 outer colony worlds. The Council fears an old enemy has returned, one that our conventional forces struggled against in the past. What kind of enemy? Tae-ho asked. One that adapts quickly. That learns from each encounter. Dr. Zella looked at each of them. The kind of enemy that might be countered by minds that think differently. By creatures who continue fighting even when logic says they should surrender. Ji-un understood now. They need humans not for our strength, but for our stubbornness. For our creativity under pressure. Dr. Zella nodded. The Council would never admit it openly, but yes, they have seen something in humans that they have not found elsewhere in the galaxy. And what is that? Asked Sunmi. Hope, replied Dr. Zella. The irrational but powerful belief that you can succeed against impossible odds. 6 months passed since first contact. Earth was changing fast. Alien technology began to appear in everyday life. People got used to seeing members of the Celestial Federation walking on their streets. In Seoul, a large Federation embassy now stood where once there had been a park. Captain Tae-ho Kim had been promoted. He was now Commander Kim, Earth's main military contact with the Federation. Today, he sat in a meeting room aboard the Federation command ship that still hovered above Seoul. This knowledge exchange has been mostly one-sided, Tae-ho said to the alien officials. You've shared some technology, but nothing that could help us defend ourselves. Ambassador Cragg, who still clearly disliked humans, made a dismissive gesture with one of his forearms. Your species is not ready for advanced weapons. The little we've shared has already improved your lives greatly. Before Taeho could argue, the room's lights flashed red. Alien symbols appeared on the walls. Federation officers jumped to their feet. "What's happening?" Taeho asked. Admiral Ven, the Federation's military leader, looked grim. "We've received an emergency signal from the outer systems. Colony world Zenith has gone dark." Craig's expression changed from annoyance to fear. "The swarm?" he asked quietly. Admiral Ven nodded. "It appears so. 3 more colonies have reported contact." Taeho stood. "What is the swarm?" The aliens seemed to have forgotten he was there. They exchanged looks, then Admiral Ven answered. "The Void Swarm is an ancient enemy of all life in this galaxy. They are a collective mind controlling billions of predatory beings. They consume everything in their path, resources, knowledge, and life itself." "And they're attacking Federation worlds?" Taeho asked. "Yes, for the first time in 700 years. Admiral Ven turned to Ambassador Craig. "We should inform the humans, if the swarm reaches this system." Craig reluctantly agreed. "Call your leaders, Commander Kim. This concerns Earth too." 2 days later, Taeho sat with Dr. Ji-eun Choi, Security Chief Sunmi Lee, and other Earth representatives in the Federation's main briefing room. Admiral Ven showed them images from the attacked colonies. The pictures were terrifying. Entire cities destroyed. Strange black shapes moving like living shadows across the land. Federation ships being torn apart in space. "The Void Swarm has now taken 5 colony worlds," Admiral Ven explained. "They're moving faster than in previous encounters." "How do you fight them?" Sunmi asked. As Earth's top security expert, she focused on practical matters. Admiral Ven looked troubled. "That's the problem. The swarm absorbs the knowledge and capabilities of those it consumes. Each battle teaches them our strategies and technologies. Traditional warfare is ineffective." "What about your superior weapons?" Taeho asked. "The ones you wouldn't share with us?" Ambassador Craig made an angry sound, but Admiral Ven answered honestly. "They adapt too quickly. After the first encounter, they developed defenses against our energy weapons. After the second, they could counter our shield technology." "So you're losing," Sunmi said bluntly. The room fell silent. Then Dr. Zella, who had been quietly listening, spoke up. "Perhaps this is why the Council changed Earth's status," she said. "They foresaw needing alternative approaches." Ji-eun leaned forward. "You mean human approaches?" Dr. Zella nodded. "The swarm has never encountered humans before. Your neural patterns, your way of thinking, your unpredictability. These might be valuable against an enemy that expects logical responses." Taeho and Sunmi exchanged looks. For months, the Federation had treated humans as barely useful junior partners. Now they might need them. "The swarm's strength is adaptation," continued Dr. Zella, "but they adapt to patterns they can recognize. Humans often act in ways that defy logical prediction. You make choices based on emotion. You take risks that no algorithm would recommend." Ambassador Krag finally spoke. "The doctor's theory is untested, but the Council has authorized me to request human military assistance in this crisis." Taeho couldn't hide his surprise. "You want our help? After months of telling us how primitive our weapons and tactics are?" "The situation has changed," Krag said stiffly. "Will you help or not?" Sunmi stood up. "We need to discuss this with our governments. But first, we need more information. How does the swarm fight? What are their weaknesses? And most importantly, what happens if they reach Earth?" Later that evening, Taeho, Ji-eun, and Sunmi met in a secure room at KSI headquarters. They had spent hours reviewing Federation data on the Void Swarm. "They're like nothing we've ever seen," Ji-eun said, looking at the alien reports. "Not quite a hive mind, not quite individual creatures. They learn collectively but can act independently. And they're heading this way," Taeho added. "The Federation estimates 3 months before they reach the solar system." Sunmi paced the room. "The Federation's weapons are far more advanced than ours, yet they're losing. What can we possibly offer?" "Unpredictability," Ji-eun suggested. The swarm expects logical responses. The Federation species all evolved with highly structured social systems. But humans are chaos machines. Taeho finished for her. We rarely do what's expected. Exactly, Jiun said. Jiun. Throughout our history, we've won against superior forces by doing the unexpected. By taking risks no logical mind would consider. Sunmi stopped pacing. So our weakness might actually be our strength. The world leaders are meeting tomorrow. To decide our response, Taeho said. What do we recommend? They talked long into the night. By morning, they had a plan. 1 week later, Taeho stood before 200 human soldiers from 20 different countries. They had been chosen for their creative thinking and adaptability. You've all been briefed on the Void Swarm, he told them. You know what we're facing. The Federation has provided advanced weapons and armor, but those alone won't win this fight. He pointed to the training course behind him. It looked like a maze filled with strange obstacles. The swarm adapts to patterns, so we will be unpredictable. You'll train to make split-second decisions, to change tactics mid-battle, to do what no enemy could anticipate. Sunmi stepped forward. Federation tacticians think our approach is suicide. They believe in careful planning and coordination. We'll show them another way. A Federation shuttle landed nearby. Dr. Zella emerged, followed by Admiral Venn and, surprisingly, Ambassador Cragg. The swarm has taken 3 more worlds, Admiral Venn announced without greeting. They're moving faster than we predicted. We need your team ready in 2 weeks, not 3 months. The human soldiers looked at each other nervously. 2 weeks isn't enough time, Sunmi protested. It will have to be, said Ambassador Cragg. For once, he didn't sound condescending, just worried. The swarm has changed course. They're heading directly for this system. Why? Taeho asked. Dr. Zella answered, her voice grim. We believe they've somehow detected human neural patterns. They're curious about this new species they've never encountered before. They're coming specifically for us? Jiun asked, shocked. Ambassador Krag nodded. It seems humans have attracted the attention of the galaxy's most dangerous predator. The Federation Council hopes you're as special as your brain scans suggest, for all our sakes. Taeho looked at the soldiers, then back at the aliens. 2 weeks it is. We'll be ready. What he didn't say was that humans had been preparing for doomsday scenarios for centuries. In movies, books, and games, they had imagined countless alien invasions. Now that a real one was coming, perhaps that preparation would finally pay off. Because if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was surviving against impossible odds. Colonel Min-Ho Lee had been a Special Forces commander before the aliens came. Now he led the first human military unit to face the Void Swarm. His team included soldiers from 12 countries, each chosen for their ability to think creatively, under pressure. This armor feels strange, said Lieutenant Da-hyun Yoon as she adjusted the Federation-made suit. The material shifted like liquid, but hardened instantly when struck. But it's better than anything we had before. Min-Ho nodded. The weapons, too. Just remember our training. Don't fall into patterns. Be unpredictable. They stood in the hangar of the Federation battleship Stellar Defender. Around them, alien crews prepared for battle. The ship was traveling, through what the aliens called fold space, a way to move faster than light. Admiral Venn approached the human squad. We will reach the Talith system in 1 hour. The swarm has already taken the outer planets. We believe some colonists still survive on Talith Prime. Our mission is rescue? Min-Ho asked. Rescue and information gathering, the Admiral replied. We need to understand how the swarm has evolved since our last encounter. Min-Ho had studied every piece of data on the Void Swarm. They were something like a cross between insects and shadows, able to change shape and absorb matter. They communicated instantly across great distances. They learned collectively. What one experienced, all knew. Remember, Min-Ho told his team, the swarm expects logical responses. Our advantage is that humans often act in ways that make no sense. Da-hyun smiled. So all those times my mother said I was being illogical were actually preparing me for this? The soldiers laughed, easing the tension. Federation officers looked at them strangely. The aliens didn't understand how humans could joke before battle. Commander Tae-ho Kim entered the hangar with Dr. Ji-Yoon Choi and Security Chief Sun-Mi Lee. They had come aboard to observe this first joint mission. Colonel Lee, Tae-ho greeted. Min-ho formally. Your team's performance today will shape Earth's role in this war. No pressure, Min-ho replied with a small smile. Ji-Yoon stepped forward. The Federation science team has developed these. She handed out small devices that attach to their armor. They'll record the swarm's reactions to you. We need to understand if they respond differently to humans than to other species. Sun-Mi added. And these. She gave each soldier a simple metal knife. The Federation doesn't use physical weapons anymore. But if the swarm has adapted to energy, sometimes old methods work best, Min-ho finished, securing the knife to his belt. A loud alarm sounded. Admiral Ven's voice came over the speakers. Battle stations, we exit fold space in 5 minutes. The Federation dropship rocked violently as it entered Talith Prime's atmosphere. Through the viewports, Min-ho could see the planet's surface. Once a beautiful world of blue oceans and green forests, now partly covered in shifting black patches. The swarm. Landing zone is hot, announced the pilot. Swarm activity detected nearby. Min-ho checked his weapon. A Federation pulse rifle. It felt light but powerful. Remember the plan, he told his team. We split into 4 groups. Approach the colony from different directions. No regular communication patterns. Use the emergency channel only when necessary. The dropship landed. With a thud, the door opened and Min-ho got his first real look at an alien world. The air smelled strange, metallic and sharp. The gravity was slightly stronger than Earth's. In the distance, a collection of damaged buildings marked the colony. Move out, he ordered. Min-ho led his group through alien vegetation. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. No birds or insects. No wind. Just silence. They were halfway to the colony when they saw their first swarm creatures. Black shapes moving between trees, flowing like liquid, but with purpose. The shapes had no fixed form. Sometimes they looked like large insects. Sometimes like wolves, sometimes like nothing from Earth. Hold, Min-ho whispered into his communicator. His team froze in place. The swarm hadn't noticed them yet. Min-ho studied their movement patterns. They seemed to be searching, moving in a grid-like pattern. Very logical, very predictable. He activated his emergency channel. All teams, swarm searches in grid patterns. They expect targets to hide or run directly away, suggest diagonal movement, irregular stops, and starts. The response came from Da-hyun's team. Understood, moving southeast in zigzag pattern. Min-ho gave hand signals to his team. They began moving in a seemingly random path. 3 steps forward, 1 to the right. Pause. 5 steps diagonally, and so on. It looked chaotic, but each soldier followed Min-ho's lead precisely. They reached the edge of the colony without being detected. The other teams reported similar success. The swarm's search patterns had completely missed them. Inside the colony's main building, they found survivors, about 30 colonists hiding in a shielded basement. Among them was the colony's leader, Governor Pell. How did you avoid detection? The governor asked, amazed. The swarm found all our patrols within minutes. We didn't move the way you'd expect, Min-ho explained. Now we need to get you to the extraction point. Governor Pell shook his head. Impossible. The swarm surrounds the colony. They adapt to every strategy we try. They haven't faced humans before, Min-ho said. Trust us. Getting the colonists to the extraction point would be harder than getting in. The survivors were weak and frightened. They couldn't move quickly or quietly. Min-ho contacted the other teams. We need a distraction, something the swarm won't expect. Da-hyun's voice came through his communicator. Sir, I have an idea. It's unconventional. Those are my favorite kind, Min-ho replied. 20 minutes later, everything was ready. Min-ho watched as Da-hyun's team set up the distraction on the colony's far side. "This makes no tactical sense," said Governor Pell. "The swarm will see through it immediately." "That's exactly why it might work," Minho replied. "They expect logical actions. This is anything but logical." Da-hyun's team had gathered the colony's maintenance robots, simple machines used for farming and repairs. They reprogrammed them to move in random patterns, making noise and flashing lights. It was chaotic, purposeless, and attention-grabbing. "Now," Minho ordered. The robots activated, creating a bizarre mechanical dance across the far fields. As expected, the swarm immediately moved toward this strange new pattern, trying to understand it. "Move," Minho told the colonists. His team led them in another irregular pattern, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, never in a straight line toward the extraction point. They were halfway there when the swarm realized the deception. Black shapes began flowing back toward them, moving faster than before. "They're adapting," Sunmi warned through the communicator. She was monitoring from the dropship. Changing direction every 15 seconds, Minho made a quick decision. "New plan. Everyone stop counting. Move by feel, not by time or distance." The human soldiers understood immediately. Instead of counting steps or seconds, they moved based on instinct and random impulse. The colonists followed as best they could. The swarm seemed confused. Their flowing movements became erratic, as if they couldn't predict where the humans would go next. Some swarm creatures got close, and the soldiers had to use their weapons. The pulse rifles worked. For now. When a group of swarm creatures surrounded one soldier, he dropped his rifle and pulled out the metal knife Sunmi had provided. The physical blade cut through the swarm's shifting forms, something they clearly hadn't expected. After what seemed like hours but was probably only 40 minutes, they reached the extraction point. The dropship was waiting, engines running. "Everyone, aboard," Minho ordered. He counted as the colonists climbed in, making sure no one was left behind. The dropship lifted off just as a massive wave of swarm creatures reached their position. Black tendrils grasped at the ship but couldn't hold it. As they broke atmosphere, Admiral Ven's voice came through the speakers. "Mission successful. All other Federation rescue attempts failed. Yours was the only team to return with survivors." Minho looked at his tired soldiers. They had faced humanity's greatest threat and succeeded where advanced alien civilizations had failed. "How did you do it?" Governor Pell asked again. "How did you outsmart the swarm?" Da-hyun smiled. "We didn't try to be smarter. We tried to be less predictable. Sometimes the best strategy is having no strategy at all. At least, none that makes logical sense." Minho nodded. "Humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We've learned that sometimes the winning move is the one no one expects. Not even ourselves." As the dropship docked with the Stellar Defender, Minho saw Admiral Ven waiting for them. Behind him stood Ambassador Craig, who for once didn't look disdainful. He looked thoughtful. The Federation had dismissed humans as weak. Now they were, starting to see that strength came in many forms, and humanity's unique form might be exactly what the galaxy needed. 1 year had passed since the first battle with the Void Swarm. The war had been long and hard, but humanity had proven its worth many times over. Colonel Minho Lee was now General Lee, commanding the human tactical division that trained both human and alien forces. Today, General Lee stood on the observation deck of Earth's first starship, the New Horizon. Built with Federation technology but designed by human engineers, it combined the best of both worlds. Through the large viewport, he watched Earth grow smaller as they headed toward the Federation's central worlds. "Still hard to believe," said Admiral Taeho Kim, joining him at the viewport. Taeho had received his promotion 6 months ago, becoming the first human admiral in the Joint Fleet. "What is?" asked Minho. "All of this." Taeho gestured around them. "A year ago, the Federation thought we were primitive weaklings. Now they're building ships based on human designs." Minho smiled. "Not because our technology was better, because our way of thinking was different." That was the key discovery that had turned the tide against the swarm. The Federation's ships had been built with perfect logic and symmetry. The swarm had learned to predict their movements and attack patterns easily. But human-designed ships were different. They had odd angles, asymmetrical weapon placements, and backup systems that seemed redundant until the main systems failed. "The delegation is ready," announced Security Chief Sunmi Lee, who had also been promoted in the past year. Now she was in charge of Earth's entire defensive network. Together, they walked to the ship's conference room where Dr. Ji-eun Choi waited with a team of human scientists and diplomats. They would represent Earth at the Federation Council meeting where humanity's future status would be decided. Nervous? Taeho asked Ji-eun. "A little," she admitted. "This vote decides whether Earth becomes a full member of the Federation or remains an associate." The New Horizon entered fold space, beginning its faster-than-light journey to the Federation capital. It would take 3 days to reach their destination. The Federation capital world, Celestia, was breathtaking. Unlike Earth, it had 3 moons and rings like Saturn. The city that housed the Federation Council covered an entire continent, its buildings stretching both high into the sky and deep underground. The human delegation was escorted to the great chamber, where representatives from all 217 member species gathered. The room was enormous, with seats and environments adjusted for each species' needs. Some seats were filled with water for aquatic aliens. Others had different atmospheric bubbles for those who couldn't breathe standard air. Ambassador Cragg approached the humans. Over the past year, his attitude had changed from contempt to grudging respect. "The council is ready to vote," he informed them. "You will be called to speak before the decision." Taeho nodded. "Thank you, Ambassador." Krog hesitated, then added, "Regardless of the outcome, I must acknowledge that my initial assessment of humans was incomplete." Coming from Krog, this was as close to an apology as they would ever get. The chamber fell silent as the council leader, a tall, ethereal being made mostly of light, rose to speak. "Today we vote on Earth's petition for full membership in the Celestial Federation. Before we decide, we will hear from both humans and those who fought alongside them." First, Admiral Venn spoke about the joint military campaigns. The Void Swarm had adapted to all our conventional tactics. It was human unpredictability that confused them, created gaps in their defenses. Without human assistance, we might have lost this war. Next, Dr. Zella presented her research. Human neural patterns continue to fascinate our scientists. Their brains form new connections throughout their lives, allowing them to learn and adapt in ways different from other species. This flexibility has proven invaluable. Then Governor Pell, who had been rescued in that first mission, spoke about how humans had saved thousands of colonists when all seemed lost. Finally, it was Earth's turn. Taeho stepped forward to address the council. "Honored members of the Federation," he began. "1 year ago, you came to our world and judged us weak because our bodies lacked natural armor, because our technology was less advanced. You were not entirely wrong. Physically, we cannot match the strength of many species here." He paused, looking around the chamber. "But strength takes many forms. Humans have survived on our world not through physical power, but through creativity, cooperation, and determination. When faced with problems we cannot overcome with strength, we find another way. During this war, we have learned much from you. Your technology, your knowledge, your wisdom. In return, we have shared our unique perspective. Together, we have accomplished what neither could have done alone." The council leader signaled that the time for speeches was over. "We will now vote on Earth's status." The vote took less than 5 minutes. When it was complete, the council leader announced, by a vote of 198 to 19, Earth is granted full membership in the Celestial Federation, with all rights and responsibilities thereof. Cheers erupted from the human delegation. Even Ambassador Y.M. Cragg seemed pleased with the result. Later, at the celebration held in Earth's new embassy on Celestia, the humans gathered with their alien allies. The mood was joyful but thoughtful. "So what happens now?" asked Sunmi, looking around at the diverse group of beings who had become friends over the past year. Dr. Zella, who had become Ji-eun's close colleague and friend, answered, "The Federation will establish more permanent bases on Earth. Your people will gain access to all our knowledge and technology, and the Human Tactical Division will train Federation forces in adaptive warfare. All because you scanned our brains and found something unexpected, Jiyun said with a smile. We found more than neural density, Dr. Zella replied. We found a species that continues fighting when logic says surrender, that finds joy in chaos, that creates art and music simply for their own sake. Ambassador Craig joined their conversation. I once believed strength could only be measured in physical terms. I was wrong. He looked uncomfortable admitting this, but continued. Your species has taught the Federation that diversity of thought is as important as diversity of form. Minho raised his glass. To new beginnings and unexpected friendships. Everyone joined the toast. Around them, humans and aliens mingled, sharing stories and ideas. It was a sight no one could have imagined when the alien ships first appeared over Earth. In just 1 year, everything had changed. Humanity had gone from a primitive species barely worth noticing to valued members of a galactic community. Not because they had somehow become physically stronger, but because the galaxy had recognized what humans had always known about themselves. True strength isn't always visible from the outside. Sometimes it lies in the complexity of a neural connection, in the ability to keep fighting when all seems lost, or in the simple refusal to give up hope. The aliens had dismissed humans as weak, until they looked deeper. What they found wasn't just a species worth saving, but a species that could help save the galaxy.